Now the talk has changed to make America wait again, other than the popular political slogan that is "Make America Great Again." Welcome to Morning at NTV. Steven Mbidde on Purpose to Uganda, coming to you live from Okello Oryem. I am at the home of the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and he's in charge of international relations. That is Honorable Henry Okello Oryem. He's also the sitting MP for Chua East County. He is here with me. Good morning to you, Honorable.
Thank you, Stephen. How are you?
I'm okay.
These are exciting times and exciting days. With the nail-biting stage at the U.S. elections.
Yeah. And
may the best man win.
Sure, maybe the best man win. And of course, we're talking about the U.S. elections and what they impact on Africa and in particular Uganda, but also for the American people. What does this election mean for them? Because we are not used to us waiting for this long after Americans go to the vote. But we shall be discussing with him, and he will be letting us know what this means for them, but also for Uganda and Africa at large. Honorable, yes, the wait is still on, but what do you think is American reputation, political reputation in terms of democracy at stake right now? Because we are not used to this. This is more of an African story, having fraud, allegations of fraud, allegations of voter intimidation, and the rest of what is happening in America. Exactly.
Stephen, this is finally the hypocrisy and the charade that for many years some of us have been telling the world, those of us who are involved in international affairs, are trying to unfold in the United States of America. You have seen more very recently, leading to elections, the amount of unimaginable violence that one who don't think would happen in the United States of America. Pitched, first of all, the violence against black young individuals. I cannot breathe and that kind of thing. Black matters,
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Then you have this situation now where you pitch the Democratic supporters versus Republican voters fighting the streets of New York and another cities of the U.S. This is very strange, unprecedented, and the likes we have never seen. Statements by candidates, presidential candidates, of cheating, voter cheatings, election cheatings, riggings, threats of going to courts. This is really the kind of thing we've been seeing happening more or less in Africa for many years. And we've been saying that this is not unique to Africa, but those who, but also happens in this so-called big Western democracies. And we are finally seeing it. And I hope that those who are watching and the Africans who are watching will finally realize that the challenges that African leaders face in their countries are no different from the challenges that big democracies like the United States face.
But when you look at it, these democracies, at least these developed countries, at least they've been envied as ones that are at least more developed democratically. Everyone would refer to them that look at US, look at Britain, look at wherever. But what does this really say about the Americans themselves, other people, if we see things that we've been used to as Africans?
I think that the leadership in the last 4 years in the United States has brought the reality of what Americans are. For many years, they have been almost giving us this. You see, the United States of America is a big movie. Everything they do in America is Hollywood. And for all these years, everything has been Hollywood style. We've just been watching one movie, and these movies are not real. But for the last 4 years now, we've seen what is real and what the Americans stand for. And one should now appreciate that what's happening in the United States of America is no different from what happens in other democracies. Even in the UK, not so long ago, the amount of violence in the streets that were there against government policy was so bad that even the then Prime Minister said he would shut down the internet if it was needed to bring peace in the streets of the United Kingdom. So what's happening in the US should be an eye-opener and a wake-up call that the challenges that in the United States are no different from the challenges that leadership in Africa face, and therefore, when we keep criticizing African leaders continuously, as if they are monstrous, as if they're not humans, then you should realize, oh, the other guys also have a similar problem.
Which kind of presidency would Uganda want from the Americans? Because we know now that it's either Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Looking at the relations, I know Uganda, the Americans support Uganda immensely, like in health, in military affairs, and so many development programs. But which kind of presidents would you want as Ugandans?
First of all, Uganda needs, and on which we've been fortunate all these years, a president that respects the independence and the integrity of the people of Uganda and the leadership of Uganda, and a leadership that does everything possible to make sure that we are treated equals. We might not be equals in terms of military power, financial power, but give us the respect that is due. This is what we want from any leadership that comes to the United States. What we do not want from any leadership that comes to the United States is a leadership that comes to impose American values, or impose their ways of life, and give us lectures on issues that we as a country believe in and endeavor to ensure that things of human rights, which we believe in, and we think is the underlying principle of managing governments, issues of human rights, which we believe in, issues of good governance, which we believe in, and we will strive to make sure that we're developing our democracy, we're developing our efforts on human rights, we're developing our efforts on good governance. But we don't need to be lectured on them by our friends and partners. So we need a leader that respects us, treats us as equals, and does not spend their time and resources intimidating us or lecturing to us.
But you would want to see that, but just last week you saw the U.S. Embassy here in Kampala coming out with a strongly worded statement, because we are also an electoral period, cautioning Uganda, especially you, the sitting government, in times like this when you're going to an election, that you have to be cautious, treat cautious when you're dealing with human rights, especially with the way you handle the supporters of different candidates, and also the electoral process, that there should not be any tendencies of malpractices.
I don't think if they came out strongly, they made a statement, but it's the Ugandan press that said it was strong. This is standard practice. It is they just reproduce what they produced in the last elections, and they reproduce what they produced in other countries. The truth is that the government of Uganda and my government, we're going to elections. We do not have any policy that we should go out there and intimidate or in any form or manner, or undermine the efforts of the opposition or leading to these elections. We want to create an environment, and we're doing everything possible to create an environment that enables the opposition to access the voters as equally as the NRM government accesses the voters. We want an even playing field for all players leading to these elections. There is no policy other than that. But people think that we sit down in some shady, dark room and plan against how we should beat up the opposition, arrest them, and throw them at the back of vans. That is not there.
But also, the other day, we saw the USAID coming out with a statement that is suspending funding to the Ugandan NGO because you, the Minister of Internal Affairs, that is the NGO Bureau, are coming out and suspending some NGOs, like especially Give Directive, that is trying to help people sustain themselves in this COVID-19 situation. But the policies here at home are not favoring these NGOs, which are helping people under these difficult circumstances of fighting COVID-19. Why? It seems there's that cold blood between the US and Uganda.
These NGOs claim to be, there's nothing like free lunch, my dear brother. There's nothing like free lunch. These NGOs may be claiming that they're helping you and assisting the poor, but it's the first and foremost the responsibility of government of Uganda to look after these people. Its own people, and care for these people. Unfortunately, these so-called NGO wanted to dish out free money. Its intentions and purposes were not clear to the government of Uganda. It was investigated by the Ministry of Internal Affairs using security organs. And once we understood that this distribution of money was not clear to us and might cause other social challenges, we stopped it. And as a responsible government, which has a responsibility to its people in Uganda, we have a responsibility to make sure that whoever comes to assist us in any form or manner does not instead cause social problems in Uganda. Hence why we stopped that.
Let me take you back to the U.S. elections. When we say Donald Trump, with the kind of allegations or statements he's making right now, also going to court, trying to stop the count, and Joe Biden saying that let every vote be counted. Does this speak about clinging to power that is more so with the African presidents, that leaders don't want to leave power?
That's what I was saying, that you know power is sweet, and whether you stay for 30 years, whether for 8 years, or for 3 years, it's all sweet. But it is very unfortunate that there are elements within the United States government at this particular time who are impatient in waiting for votes to be counted to its very end, and then results being declared. In the United States, unfortunately, they do not have an independent electoral. Here we have independence. What? In the Independence Electoral Commission. In the U.S., they don't have an electoral commission, unfortunately. So elections are counted by each state, declared by each state, and the results come out as we go. Now, for this in itself, for a country like the United States, for many years has been okay. But unfortunately, this particular year, the leadership there have behaved in a manner that is questionable, and a manner that we have all along not been accustomed to, and we don't know whether this is what's going to happen in the future, irrespective of who comes into leadership in the United States.
Of course, we know there are so many Ugandans who are living in America under that umbrella organization called UNA, United Uganda American Association. With the kind of violence we see happening in some states right now, have you, as Minister of Foreign Affairs, received any cases of Ugandans also being involved in this kind of chaos?
We have not, and I think Ugandans living abroad, having experienced violence in Uganda for many years during their lifetime, when they are abroad, they're very cautious, and they want to live longer than they're a bit cowardish in getting involved in those violence situations that can make them lose their lives or become injured, because they have a duty and to look after their families in Uganda. They have obligations to look after their extended family in Uganda. So if you get injured or if you get killed, then unfortunately your whole family who has been looked after will suffer the consequences. Hence, Ugandans are very cautious normally, we have realized, abroad, and we have not had any story or any case of Ugandans being involved in this violence.
I remember in 2016, when we had just gone through an election, the then ambassador of U.S. to Uganda, Deborah Malak, came with so many strong statements, of course, talking about the election that we had just gone through. And now we're also going to have a new ambassador, that is Natalie Brown, who is set to come to Uganda in time because she has already been sworn in. I just want to understand from you, from Foreign Affairs, what kind of message are you sending to this new incoming ambassador to Uganda as they come at the time when they're also going through an election, just like them who have just gone through one? We
don't do anything to please, impress, or we don't owe anything to the Americans or to the Europeans or to anybody in the manner in which we conduct our elections. No. The new American ambassador will not do anything to impress her or to impress the United States of America how we conduct our elections. We do the elections in Uganda under the laws that are placed in Uganda, in the interests of Uganda, the people of Uganda, and that's all. We don't do it in the interest of anybody else. So if anybody thinks that any of our developed partners or friends think that elections are conducted because they're here or there, then they're mistaken. We do this thoroughly in the interest of Uganda, in the interests of Ugandans and in order to fulfill our democratic obligations.
It's just a common practice that wherever we have elections, we have observers coming here to see whatever happens. But right now, we know that by now you as government would have accredited these foreign observers and NGOs or civil society. But just this week, the European Union said that you haven't invited them, you haven't given them the opportunity to observe, so that we see that this election is free and fair.
Please, please. The European ambassador is just looking for publicity. He knows very well that invitations were sent out to all embassies, inviting them to participate in these elections, inviting them to send electoral observers. But I don't know why he did not come to my office first and foremost and raise this matter, but go to the press and raise this hula baloo. If he had come to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and raised this matter before me, I'd have told him that there's an invitation here, and that invitation was brought to his attention, which he's aware of. But what he wants is a special invitation to the EU. But there's an invitation. I mean, why the hula baloo, and why didn't he first of all come to my office and discuss this matter, if so be? But to go to the press as a first post of call is unfortunate. But
wouldn't it also be good practice or good manners that you as Foreign Affairs would reach out to them, because you receive
We
them?
do not. It is not a good question of good manners. We have been in this business of diplomacy for over since the independence, and this has been our practice. And there's no particular reason why we should reach out to these Europeans and Americans, which you are so impressed about. We don't owe them anything, my dear brother. We owe everything to the people of Uganda in terms of making sure that we are doing what we are obliged to as a government in ensuring that we undertake our democratic responsibilities in elections.
But these Ugandans you're talking about have also tried, just even 2 days after the nominations of the presidential candidates, they've started also receiving the harsh side of the government, with the campaigns having on the streets, people are being tear gassed, people are being arrested, people are being...
I am very happy that you raised that. They were, how many presidential candidates were there? How many presidential candidates were there?
11.
11. Of those, only two, okay, caused this fracas. It was an agreed procedure with the police that after the nominations, that's what each candidate should undertake. How come President Museveni went without any problems? How does General Tumukunde, after his nominations, there was no problems? How come General Muntu, no problem? Mao, you know how Mao is, with no problem. Now, these other two, okay, of course, were seeking attention, and they knew that they had to provoke the police, and they knew that in order to get attention, they had to do this. But if they had followed the police procedures, as all the other candidates had followed, we would have had no problems. This is attention seeking, premeditated attention seeking, that they had set and planned that after nominations, let us do this.
The sentiments on the streets of Kampala are that government maybe fears these two candidates.
We don't fear. We have been here for years, my dear brother. We have seen it all. We have seen Ikonyi, we have seen Lakwena, we have seen Besije, we have seen Semugerere.
The kind of treatment they are receiving.
Anyone that comes, the NRM is ready, irrespective, even if they come from the moon, we were ready for them. So there's nothing special about these other ones. Our votes are in the villages. I'm a member of parliament. From a place called Namukora. I come from Namukora, a village called Lapanda. I can tell you categorically, in my village, only President Museveni will get votes from that place. Because nobody knows anything about the opposition there. Nobody knows about the FDC. Nobody knows about this NUP. Nobody knows about ANT.
My point
so we are, the NRM traditionally are at the grassroots. These Kampala making lumpans can make the noise they want.
However, my concern and the sentiments on the streets of Kampala is that the kind of...
But why the streets of Kampala only? There are streets in Jinja, there are streets in Kitgum,
yeah.
there are streets in Gulu, there are streets in Barara. So those streets there have no issues.
I'm just using Kampala as an example, that the treatment, the kind of treatment they receive and their supporters is putting Uganda's image at disrepute across the world. They are looking at Uganda. Whenever this happens in Kampala, Uganda is put into bad light, and the image you're supposed to protect Uganda's image, because you know how, when Uganda is safe, you know what that means for investment and tourism.
I think that those who intend to invest in Uganda and those tourists who intend to Uganda will come to Uganda irrespective of this fracas. We have been there before, and we have seen the growth in Uganda step by step by step. This is just a small storm in the teacup. Such a small storm so that it will soon go away. You see, what people look in terms of Uganda is the long term. They don't look at just what's happening 1 or 2 days or 3 days. They look at the term. And these are not idiots. These are people who can see through the act of this opposition. They can clearly see, as I said, that any reasonable person, and there are many, I looked at this situation, I said, out of 11, only 2 caused this fracas. Only 2. And they did why? Intentionally to draw attention. Yet, the other,
okay.
9 followed the procedures and everything was okay.
You know,
in any case, my dear brother, okay, when the police comes to arrest you, or when the police asks you to undertake some measures, if you oppose the police, they can arrest you for obstruction. So when the police tells you, give instructions, irrespective of who you are, the law is very clear. Follow the law, the instruction of the police. But if you do not, then you're in breach of the law by obstructing the
As we try to wind up, I also want to pick your mind on the issue that is trying to put many Ugandans not comfortable with you seeing the government moving into Congo, trying to build the infrastructure there, especially the roads, when even our Ugandan roads are still in a sorry state. They're thinking this is not the right thinking from you, the government.
No, you see, Ugandans should have trust in this government. It's this government that knows what is in the interest of Uganda and the best interest of Uganda. You see,
briefly,
what we want to do, we cannot continue relying on exports abroad. We have to develop our regional market. The regional market around the DRC, Rwanda, Burundi, up to Zambia is enormous. Now that road is a strategic road to allow a hub to be set up in that area where they could have a free trade zone, and all the produce of Uganda can be put there in one place. Okay? Without this driving on the road for roads, everybody from the region, from the DRC, Rwanda, Burundi, Zambia, can all come and buy things of Uganda from this particular zone, which will be in billions. So it is a strategic move by the government of Uganda, and I think that those who are myopic, you know what the word myopic? Those who are myopic are not seeing the bigger vision.
Thank you so much, Honorable Henry Okello Oryem. He is the Minister of Foreign Affairs in charge of international relations, but also the MP for Chua County. He's been sharing with me insights into the U.S. election and how it impacts on Africa, and especially Uganda, but also on a broad range of issues that concern Uganda. Thank you for keeping